I stand at the kitchen counter, crimping the edges of my homemade cherry pie, with fingers that know the motion by heart. Through the window, Ohio summer light falls across the granite countertop, warming my hands as I work. From the living room comes the familiar weekend soundtrack, the low drone of baseball announcers, my father's occasional grunt of disapproval at a bad play, my mother's voice calling after my nieces. "Careful with that vase," Mom shouts, her footsteps quick across the hardwood. "Ashley, can you please watch the girls?" My sister doesn't answer. Instead, I hear her voice, bright and professional, streaming from her phone to her online audience. "Ladies, this shawl is 100% cashmere, and we only have 5 left in inventory. VIP members, remember to comment first to reserve yours." I press the last crimp into the pie crust and slide it into the oven, setting the timer before wiping my hands on the dish towel tucked into my waistband. The roasted chicken needs to rest another 10 minutes. The salad is ready in the refrigerator, dressing on the side. Everything timed perfectly for Saturday lunch, just like always. "I got a promotion," I announced to the room, my voice neither too loud nor too soft. Just matter of fact. Senior clinical specialist. They're transferring me to the Raleigh office. The baseball game continues. Ashley's sales pitch doesn't falter. Mom hurries past the kitchen doorway, chasing a giggling 4-year-old. No one looks up. No one says a word. I stand very still in the center of the kitchen, feeling my announcement evaporate into the air like steam. It shouldn't surprise me anymore, this feeling of being invisible, and yet somehow it always does. Later, we gather around the dining table, the one with the scratch near my place that I've polished countless times, never quite able to buff it away. The food I've spent the morning preparing sits in serving dishes I carefully arranged. Golden brown chicken with crisp skin, salad bright with red tomatoes and yellow peppers, warm rolls, and the cherry pie cooling on the counter. "This looks wonderful," Dad says to no one in particular, already spearing a piece of chicken. "Mom, Lily won't eat her vegetables," Ashley complains, barely glancing up from her phone where she's still typing responses to customers. "Willa, would you mind cutting her chicken into smaller pieces?" Mom asks, not waiting for my answer before turning back to Ashley. "How are sales going today, honey?" I cut Lily's chicken into tiny, perfect squares while answering a question no one asked me. The position comes with a 15% raise and relocation bonus. I start in 3 weeks. Ashley's phone pings. $2,000 in sales today already, she announces, looking up for the first time. Mom and Dad both turn to her, their faces bright with the special smiles they save for her accomplishments. "That's wonderful, sweetheart." Mom beams. "Smart business decision taking your boutique online," Dad adds, nodding approvingly. The warmth of the chicken seeps into my fingers as I arrange it carefully on my niece's plate, but my chest feels hollow, cool. I've learned to identify this feeling, not quite anger, not quite sadness. Something in between, like disappointment that's grown so familiar it no longer surprises. Mom turns to me but only to say, "There's a spill on the floor by the sink. Would you mind?" I clean the spill, serve the pie, wash the dishes. When Ashley's youngest drops his fork, I'm there with a new one before he can cry. When Dad wants more coffee, I refill his cup without being asked. This is the rhythm we've established over years. They need, I provide. They ask, I answer. They overlook, I accept. The pattern runs deeper than today's lunch. Last Christmas, I spent 4 days helping Ashley wrap her inventory for holiday sales while she attended parties. 3 months ago, I used my vacation days to watch her kids while she went to a fashion expo. 2 weeks before that, I drove Mom to 5 different stores looking for the exact shade of curtains she wanted for Ashley's living room. "Ashley has the kids," Mom had explained once when I mentioned the uneven distribution of family responsibilities. "She needs more help than you do." The truth hangs in the air between us, unspoken but understood. Ashley has the kids, the struggling business, the constant drama that keeps everyone's attention. I have nothing that makes me essential except my willingness to help. After lunch, while Ashley live streams her afternoon sales session, and Mom takes the girls shopping, I sit at the kitchen counter and compose a message to the family group chat. My fingers hover over the screen before I type. "Got my official transfer paperwork today. Moving to Raleigh, NC on the 15th. Promotion to senior clinical specialist. Very excited for this opportunity." I press send, watching the message deliver with its little swoosh animation. One by one, the read receipts appear beside each family member's name. Mom, Dad, Ashley. No responses. I drive home to my apartment across town. The sun setting behind me. My phone pings as I unlock my door. And for a moment, hope flutters in my chest. The notification shows Mom has sent a photo to the group chat. I open it. Ashley's daughter's eating leftover pie, faces smeared with cherry filling. The caption reads, "Someone couldn't wait for dessert." Another ping. Ashley this time. Just hit $2,000 in sales today. New record. I set my phone on the kitchen counter, screen down. Standing alone in my silent apartment, I feel a tear track slowly down my cheek, then another. I don't bother to wipe them away. There's no one here to notice them anyway. The moving day has finally come. The last cardboard box slides into place in the back of the U-Haul. I shut the door with a satisfying thunk, like closing a chapter. My apartment stands empty behind me, a shell I'll never return to. The movers already took the furniture yesterday. My phone vibrates in my pocket. Mom's name flashes on the screen. Come home Saturday to watch Kids for your sister. Her live stream sales have a special event. I stare at the screen, tapping my fingers against the metal door of the truck. 2 weeks since lunch, 2 weeks of silence after my announcement, and now this, a command, not a question. I type back. I can't. I'm going to North Carolina today. No apology, no unnecessary details, just the bald fact. I slide my phone back into my pocket and climb into the driver's seat. The engine rumbles to life, vibrating beneath my hands. 3 states to cross before nightfall. I tune the radio to an oldies station, the Temptations singing about the way things used to be. Hours pass without a reply. The highways stretch before me, mile markers clicking by like memories. My 8th birthday party. Mom hustling everyone outside for cake because Ashley, 12 then, had invited friends over and needed the living room. My high school graduation. Dad leaving halfway through to pick up Ashley from a failed job interview, missing my honor society recognition. My college graduation. The family arriving late, distracted, because Ashley's then boyfriend had just broken up with her. My first promotion. The group dinner I paid for, where Mom spent the entire evening helping Ashley browse apartment listings on her phone. The pattern reveals itself, stretched across the years like the highway before me. Not isolated incidents, but a deliberate architecture. The mountains of West Virginia rise around me, then fall away as I press southward. My phone remains silent until I cross the Virginia border. What do you mean you're going to North Carolina? Mom finally responds, 7 hours later. I don't answer. Let her wonder for once. The radio shifts to Billy Joel singing about moving out. I turn up the volume, one hand steady on the wheel as the landscape changes around me. By sunset, I reach Raleigh. The air feels different here, warmer, fresher somehow. I park outside my temporary apartment complex, climb the stairs with my overnight bag, and fall onto the bed fully clothed. For the first night in 28 years, no one knows exactly where I am. The thought feels dangerous, exhilarating. 3 weeks later, I'm settled enough to recognize my kitchen cabinets in the dark. I've learned the fastest route to work and found a coffee shop that remembers my order. Small victories in a foreign land. My phone lights up one Sunday evening, a notification from the family group chat. Family party this weekend. Aunt Susan turning 60. Come early to set the table and help with kids. Mom again. I stare at the message, a familiar weight settling on my chest. They've completely forgotten, or they're pretending to have forgotten. I'm not sure which is worse. I don't respond. Saturday comes. I spend it unpacking my last boxes, arranging books alphabetically on shelves, placing framed photos of places, not people, on my walls. At 3:17 p.m., my phone explodes with notifications. Where are you? Mom's text shouts in all capitals. Everyone's asking about you. Dad, chiming in unusually. We saved you cherry pie. Ashley, with the least subtle bribe in history. Then, at 5:42 p.m., the incoming missile. I never thought you'd be this selfish, after everything we've done for you. Your sister had to handle all the kids herself while I cooked. Your father had to help arrange the tables. You've let the entire family down. I wait until after dinner, seated on my new couch in my new apartment in my new city. Then I call, not text. This deserves voice. Mom answers on the first ring. Finally decided to acknowledge your responsibilities? Mom, I say, keeping my voice level. I moved to North Carolina almost a month ago. I told everyone. I sent messages. I can't come set tables in Ohio anymore. Well, you could have reminded us, she sniffs. Your sister was very disappointed. I'm sorry she was disappointed. How was Aunt Susan's party? Hectic. Without you here to help. Your father had to, she continues, listing the inconveniences my absence caused. Not once does she ask about my new apartment, my new job, my new life. When she pauses for breath, I try again. The new position is going well. I'm learning. That's nice, dear. Listen, Ashley's thinking about expanding her online boutique and needs some startup money. Since you got that raise, we thought. I have to go, Mom. I interrupt. Someone's at the door. I hang up before she can respond. Sitting in the new silence of my apartment, something inside me goes cold. A circuit tripped, a light extinguished. I've spent my life reaching toward them, straining for acknowledgement, and they've spent theirs looking through me. They don't see me as a person, just a resource. The realization settles into my bones, not with the hot flash of anger but the cool clarity of truth. I've been waiting for something that doesn't exist, their recognition of me as someone with needs, rather than just someone who meets theirs. I stare at my phone, expecting the guilt to come flooding in. The urge to call back, to apologize, to make things right. It doesn't come. Instead, I feel lighter. Like I've set down a heavy bag I've been carrying so long I forgot it was there. For the first time in my life, I don't call back. Don't apologize. Don't explain. The sun sets outside my window, casting long shadows across my new living room. My phone buzzes twice more, then falls silent. I don't check the messages. There's grief in this choice. Yes, the mourning of what should have been, of the family I deserved but never had. But beneath the grief runs a current of something unfamiliar. Relief. In the morning, I wake to birds singing outside my window, and no new messages. My absence hasn't changed their behavior at all. They've simply adjusted their expectations, reallocating my tasks among themselves, grumbling all the while. I make coffee in my quiet kitchen, watching the sunrise paint my walls gold. The world hasn't ended because I prioritized myself, and that, I'm starting to believe, might be the most important lesson of all. The morning sunlight spills across hardwood floors as I step out of the shower. It's been 2 years since I left Ohio. Since I walked away from the family that never quite saw me. 2 years of bonuses, raises, and a life built entirely on my own terms. I towel my hair dry and catch my reflection in the bathroom mirror. At 30, my face has lost the eager-to-please softness it once carried. My shoulders no longer hunch forward, ready to absorb whatever task might be thrown my way. Toby's nails click against the floor as he trots to the bathroom door, his light brown curls still damp from his morning bath. He tilts his head, poodle ears perked in silent question. Yes, Your Majesty, breakfast is next, I tell him, wrapping myself in a robe. My condo in North Hills feels lived in now, not like the temporary spaces I inhabited back in Ohio. The second bedroom serves as my home office, where certificates of achievement line the walls, visible reminders of a career that flourishes when not overshadowed by family drama. The coffee machine hums to life with a press of a button. While it brews, I prepare Toby's breakfast, his tail wagging in perfect rhythm to the morning routine we've established. There's a peacefulness to these moments, a rhythm untainted by the constant alerts of a family group chat or the sudden demands for my time. Park after work? I ask Toby, who responds with an enthusiastic circle dance that makes me laugh. I'll take that as a yes. The park has become our evening sanctuary. It's where Toby met Benji the beagle 3 months ago, and where I met Jackson, Benji's owner. Jackson runs his fingers through dark hair streaked with early gray as he stands near the dog park fence later that day. At 33, he carries himself with the quiet confidence of someone who builds things that matter. His rehabilitation equipment startup helps people recover from injuries, a purpose I understand intimately through my work with medical devices. There she is, he says as Toby and I approach. I was telling Benji you might stand us up for some exciting medical emergency. And miss watching these two chase squirrels? Never. I release Toby from his leash, watching him bound toward Benji in a flurry of paws and fur. Jackson leans against the fence beside me, our shoulders not quite touching. How was the Cooper presentation? They loved the new device specifications. I smile, still getting used to sharing professional victories with someone who actually wants to hear them. How about the prototype testing? 3 successful trials today. He points toward a bench. Want to sit? We settle onto the bench, a careful few inches between us that somehow feels more intimate than touching. There's none of the desperate need for closeness I used to feel with previous boyfriends, that urgent desire to secure their attention before they noticed my ordinariness. With Jackson, space feels comfortable, not threatening. The evening air carries the scent of grilling meat from a nearby restaurant. My stomach reminds me I skipped lunch for the Cooper presentation. Hungry? Jackson asks, noticing my expression. There's a new place that opened last week. Farm to table. Supposed to be amazing. 40 minutes later, we sit across from each other at a corner table, the restaurant's exposed brick walls and warm lighting creating a cocoon of privacy. I'm midway through describing a challenging client interaction when my phone buzzes. The screen lights up with a notification from the family group chat that has been silent for months. My hand freezes above my water glass. The familiar tightness constricts my chest, that Pavlovian response to family contact that precedes inevitable disappointment. Jackson's eyes flick to my phone, then back to my face, but he doesn't ask. This is what I appreciate most about him. He notices everything but doesn't pry, doesn't demand explanation for my reactions. I turn the phone face down without reading the message. Sorry, I say. Just old patterns trying to resurface. Jackson nods, understanding without needing details. Old patterns have a way of doing that. Doesn't mean we have to follow them. No, I agree, picking up my fork again. We certainly don't. The waiter brings our entrees, and the conversation shifts to Jackson's latest design challenge. By dessert, I've forgotten about the unread message entirely. 3 days later, my cousin Ashlyn perches on my couch, Toby stretched across her lap like a furry blanket. At 22, she's the only family member who's made any effort to stay connected since I moved. This place is gorgeous, Willa, she says, looking around my living room with genuine admiration. The warm lighting casts gentle shadows across the comfortable furniture I chose piece by piece, a stark contrast to the hand-me-downs that furnished my apartment in Ohio. Thanks. It took a while to get it just right. I hand her a glass of wine, settling into the armchair opposite. How's the cross-country adventure going? Exhausting but amazing. Ashlyn scratches behind Toby's ears. I've hit 12 states so far. Raleigh was definitely worth the detour, though. It's nice seeing you. Happy. She says the word like she's discovering it applies to me, and perhaps she is. The Willa she knew in Ohio rarely had cause for happiness. I am happy. I confirm, surprised by how easily I can say it now. Work's going well. I have friends, Jackson. I trail off, feeling my cheeks warm slightly. He seems great, from what you've told me. Ashlyn reaches for her phone. Mind if I take a photo? This room is seriously magazine-worthy. Go ahead. I laugh, watching as she frames the shot, capturing the living room with its carefully arranged bookshelves and the soft glow of my favorite reading lamp. While she types on her phone, I bring our dinner to the coffee table, pasta carbonara made from a recipe Jackson shared. Nothing like the elaborate meals I used to prepare for family gatherings that went unappreciated. Posted. Ashlyn announces, showing me the screen. The photo of my living room looks warm and inviting, but it's her caption that catches my breath. At my cousin Willa's home, she's got her own place, a wonderful boyfriend, and a life worth admiring. That's sweet of you, I say, touched by her genuine support. What neither of us anticipates is how quickly the photo spreads through the extended family network. By morning, notifications flood Ashlyn's phone, likes, comments, and messages from relatives who barely acknowledged my existence before. This is weird, Ashlyn says over breakfast, scrolling through her phone. Aunt Karen wants to know what neighborhood you live in. Uncle Rob is asking if you bought or rent. I take a sip of coffee, unsurprised. They never showed this much interest when I announced my promotion. Oh, it gets better. Ashlyn's thumb pauses over the screen. Your mom commented, so lovely to see how well our Willa is doing. As if she's been involved in your life at all. The hollowness in my chest, that old familiar feeling, doesn't come. Instead, I feel oddly detached, as if observing strangers discuss someone who merely shares my name. Later that afternoon, Ashlyn shows me a screenshot that makes my eyebrows rise. It's a private message from Ashley to my mother. Did you see Willa's place? Looks expensive. You should ask about her financial situation. Remember how she got all those bonuses? Maybe she could help with our situation. Your sister hasn't changed, Ashlyn says, her voice tight with anger on my behalf. No, I agree calmly. She hasn't. That evening, after dropping Ashlyn at her hostel, I tell Jackson about the social media storm while we walk our dogs along a tree-lined path. Are you going to respond to any of them? He asks, voice carefully neutral. I'm not planning to reach out first, I say, after considering for a moment. But if they contact me directly, I'll need to decide how to respond. Jackson nods, reaching for my hand. Your boundaries are valid, Willa. Stand by them. I plan to, I say, squeezing his fingers. They can only take what I choose to give now. When my phone chimes at 11:43 that night, I'm already half asleep. The screen illuminates with a message from my mother. How have you been, honey? Your father and I miss you so much. Before I can process this sudden affection after 2 years of silence, another notification appears. Ashley this time. So happy you're doing well. Your place looks amazing. My heart rate accelerates as I sit up in bed, Toby lifting his head from his cushion in concern. 2 years of silence, and now this flurry of sudden interest? The final message lands like a bomb. We already booked flights from Columbus to Raleigh. We'll arrive around noon tomorrow. The kids can't wait to see their aunt. I stare at the screen, suspended between disbelief and a ridiculous flicker of hope. Maybe they've changed. Maybe they finally see me. But their timing, right after seeing evidence of my success, tells a different story. My phone rings, Jackson's name appearing on screen. I answer, my voice steadier than I expected. They're coming tomorrow, I say without preamble. All of them. They've already booked flights. His breath catches audibly. That's sudden. Very. What are you thinking? I consider the question, sorting through the tangle of emotions. I'm thinking they wouldn't be coming if Ashlyn hadn't posted that photo. Probably not, he agrees. There's a pause then. If you feel ready, see them. But don't let them make you feel guilty again. As I set my phone down, I realize my hands aren't shaking. The panic I would have felt 2 years ago has been replaced by something cooler, more calculated. They're coming to my territory now, into a life I've built without them. And this time, I make the rules. I arrange the last throw pillow on my sofa, smoothing the fabric with a deliberate touch. The room is perfect, every surface gleaming, every object precisely positioned. This is my space, my home, my rules. The doorbell rings at 12:15. I count to 10 before answering, a small act of control that steadies my racing heart. Willa! Mom surges forward, wrapping me in a hug so tight, I can smell her familiar perfume, the same scent she's worn since I was a child. Oh, sweetheart, it's been too long. 2 years and 3 months, to be exact. 2 years of birthdays, holidays, and milestones celebrated without a single call. I return her hug with measured pressure, neither pulling away nor melting into her embrace. Dad stands awkwardly behind her, a box in his hands. Hey, kiddo. His hug is brief, one-armed. His eyes already darting past me to the television mounted on my living room wall. Game's on today, Bengals playing. Ashley appears last, her children racing past her into my condo before I can even greet them. Your place is gorgeous, she says, air-kissing my cheek. The girls are so excited to see their aunt. The girls who barely know me because their mother never bothered to maintain our connection. We brought cake, Mom announces, taking the box from Dad. Chocolate, your favorite. Strawberry shortcake has been my favorite since I was 7. I wonder if she genuinely doesn't remember, or if this is just another small erasure of who I actually am. Thank you, I say, the words falling from my lips with practiced ease. Let me put on some tea. In the kitchen, I hear the television switch on, followed by Dad's satisfied grunt as he finds the game. The girls' voices rise in pitch as they race around my living room, their sneakers thudding against my hardwood floors. From the corner of my eye, I watch one of them grab a crystal paperweight Jackson gave me for my birthday. Amelia. I call out, my voice calm but firm. Please put that back where you found it. Ashley laughs, high and nervous. Oh, they're just exploring, kids, you know. I know they should respect other people's things, I respond, setting the kettle on the stove. In my home, we don't touch what doesn't belong to us. A flicker of surprise crosses her face. The girl carefully returns the paperweight, casting a wary glance in my direction before rejoining her sister. Mom wanders into the kitchen, running her finger along my granite countertop. "This must have cost a fortune," she says, disapproval lacing her words. "Your place is so extravagant." I pour hot water over tea bags, letting them steep. "I like my home." "The company must pay you very well." Ashley joins us, leaning against the doorframe. "What's the salary range for someone in your position these days?" I place cookies on a serving plate, taking my time before answering. "Competitive." "But are we talking six figures?" Her voice is casual, but her eyes are sharp. "Do you get bonuses? Stock options?" "The benefits are excellent," I reply, lifting the tea tray. "Shall we sit in the living room?" Ashley's questions continue through our first cup of tea. Does my company match 401 contributions? How much is my mortgage payment? Did I have to put 20% down? Each query designed to assess exactly how much money I might have access to. With each non-answer, her fingers tap faster against her cup, her smile growing tighter. "Dad," I say, during a brief lull in her financial interrogation, "how's your volunteer work with the Youth Baseball League going?" The shift works. For 10 minutes, conversation flows around safer topics. Dad's coaching, a cousin's new baby, Mom's garden club. I notice how Ashley's shoulders tense with each passing moment that doesn't involve my financial situation. When her oldest daughter knocks over a vase of fresh flowers, sending water across my coffee table, I rise immediately. "Girls," I say firmly, "in this house, we sit calmly on furniture. We don't run or jump on the sofa." "Willa," Mom begins, her voice carrying that familiar tone of correction. "They're just being children, I know, and children need boundaries." I hand each girl a small book from my shelf. "Here. These were my favorites when I was your age." Mom's mouth hangs open, clearly unused to me setting terms in any interaction. Ashley's smile has completely vanished now, replaced by a tight line of frustration. "You've changed," Mom says finally, setting down her teacup with a small clink. "Yes, I agree simply." The room falls silent except for the baseball game and the soft sound of pages turning as the girls, surprisingly, settle into reading. Dad shifts uncomfortably in his seat. Ashley exchanges a look with Mom, one I recognize from years of family dynamics, the signal that it's time to reveal the real purpose of this visit. Mom leans forward, her practiced sigh filling the room. "Willa, sweetheart. Ashley's been struggling." And there it is. The boutique. Ashley jumps in, voice tight with rehearsed emotion. "After 5 years in retail, I thought I was ready. I had the experience, the customer base." The story unfolds like a script they've practiced in the car ride over. Ashley opened her own fashion boutique after years working for someone else. The initial investment came from my parents. The business failed within 8 months. The personal guarantee she signed on the commercial lease left her owing $39,000 in debt. My parents' retirement savings are already strained from helping with the startup costs. They all lean forward now, a united front. Mom's eyes are wide with concern, Dad's expression solemn, Ashley's lower lip trembling perfectly on cue. "You're doing so well," Mom says, her voice dropping to that special tone she uses when she wants something. "You could sell your condo and help your sister." Dad clears his throat. "You have a boyfriend with money. You don't need 2 homes." They've been here less than an hour and already know about Jackson. Someone has done their research. "Think about the girls," Ashley adds, glancing toward her children. "Help your sister, and the children will have their mother back. I'm barely sleeping with all this stress." The hollow feeling spreads through my chest, a familiar sensation but one I now recognize for what it is. Not heartbreak, but clarity. I watch them with new eyes, seeing the performance for exactly what it is. Their sudden appearance in my life after years of silence, the effusive greetings, the probing questions about my finances, all of it calculated, all of it designed for this moment. A memory surfaces, standing in my parents' kitchen announcing my promotion, the words evaporating into nothing. Another, texting about my move and receiving photos of Ashley's children eating pie in return. Years of being overlooked until I became useful again. Ashley misinterprets my silence as hesitation. "It's not like we're asking for a handout," she says, voice rising slightly. "I'll pay you back eventually. This is what family does, Mom adds, reaching for my hand. We help each other through hard times. Dad shifts in his seat again, eyes darting between the television and my face. Your mother and I won't be around forever, you know. I take a slow breath, feeling the weight of their expectations pressing against me like a physical force. But for the first time in my life, I don't bend beneath it. Something has changed in these 2 years away. Something fundamental. I'll think about it, I say finally, my voice steady. The first cracks appear in their united front. Ashley's cheeks flush with defensive anger. Mom's smile falters, unused to anything but immediate capitulation from me. Dad's attention returns fully to the game, a sure sign he senses conflict approaching. What's there to think about? Ashley demands. We're family. Yes, I think as I look at these 3 people who share my blood but have never truly seen me, we're family. But I'm finally beginning to understand what that word really means, and more importantly, what it doesn't. Willa sat perfectly still, her calm exterior a shield over the storm inside. 2 years of distance had given her perspective, but now, facing them again, she recognized the familiar weight of their expectations settling onto her shoulders. They waited for her answer with the certainty of people who had never contemplated rejection. I've helped before, Willa said finally, her voice even and steady. I've tried for years to be heard, to be loved. All I ever got in return was silence and expectation. She looked directly at her mother, then her father, finally resting her gaze on Ashley. I'm done. Ashley's cheeks flushed pink. But, we're family. You can't just… That word family, Willa interrupted, the first time she could remember cutting off her sister, should mean care and respect. Not debt collection. The words fell from her lips with a certainty she'd never felt before. If being family only means I keep paying for everyone's mistakes, then no, I'm not part of that version of family anymore. Her father shifted uncomfortably, mouth opening then closing, words forming and dying before they reached his lips. The silence stretched between them. Her mother's eyes filled with tears, carefully measured to fall at precisely the right moment. After all we've done for you. You're choosing money over your own family, Ashley accused, voice rising. Remember when I helped you move into your first apartment? Remember all the birthdays, the Christmases? Mom and Dad won't be around forever, Willa, her mother added, voice thick with emotion. Is this how you want things to be? Willa watched them deploy each weapon from their arsenal of guilt, recognizing the pattern like a familiar dance. They were performers who had practiced this routine for decades, and for the first time, she saw the choreography clearly. We wouldn't ask if we weren't desperate. Her father finally managed, a rare contribution that signaled they had reached their final play. Willa took a slow breath. When I got my promotion 2 years ago, I told everyone at Saturday lunch. No one looked up from what they were doing. I sent a message to our group chat about moving to Raleigh. Everyone read it. No one responded. She kept her voice level, recounting facts rather than emotions. Last year on my birthday, my phone didn't ring once. When I called Mom that evening, she said she'd been busy helping Ashley with the boutique opening. Her family sat in uncomfortable silence as she laid out the evidence. 3 Christmases ago, I spent 4 days helping Ashley wrap inventory. 2 summers ago, I used my vacation days to watch the kids while she went to that fashion expo in Cincinnati. For years, I've been your babysitter, your extra wallet, your convenient helper. Willa kept her gaze steady. And now, after 2 years without a single meaningful call or message, you're here because you need money. Ashley opened her mouth to object, but Willa continued. The last time we spoke, Mom, you hung up on me when I tried to tell you about my new job. That was the moment I realized what I was to this family. She stood up slowly, walking to the front door. I think that's enough for today. The sudden finality of her words sent a visible shock through her family. They gathered their belongings awkwardly, no one quite meeting her eyes. Her mother clutched her purse to her chest like armor. Her father moved with the stiffness of someone navigating unfamiliar territory. Ashley herded her children toward the door, their earlier exuberance subdued by the tension in the room. As they filed past her, Ashley paused at the threshold. I didn't think you'd become so cold, she said, the words meant to wound. Willa met her sister's gaze directly. I didn't become cold. I became clear. She closed the door behind them with a soft click that echoed through her apartment. Standing motionless in her entryway, Willa breathed slowly, feeling something release in her chest, a weight she'd carried for so long she'd forgotten it was there. No dramatic tears came. No urge to scream or throw things, just quiet certainty that she had, finally, done what was necessary for herself. Her phone buzzed in her pocket, the first of what would likely be a barrage of texts. Without looking, she silenced the notifications. For the first time in her life, she felt no compulsion to explain or justify herself. No need to answer immediately. The freedom of non-response settled over her like a comfortable blanket. Later that evening, she checked her email to find her family had already flown back to Ohio, cutting their planned weekend visit short. Her inbox filled with increasingly desperate messages over the next few days. Her mother's pleading, her father's awkward attempts at reconciliation, Ashley's alternating between apologies and accusations. The week after, cousins and aunts she barely spoke to reached out with casual, just checking in messages, their sudden interest transparent. To each, she responded with polite but brief replies, declining invitations to discuss the situation. 2 weeks after their visit, a final email arrived from Ashley, detailing in clinical terms the financial consequences their family would face without Willa's help. The boutique would close. Their parents might need to sell their home. The children would suffer. Willa read it once, then filed it away without response. The message was evidence that nothing had truly changed, still seeing her as a resource rather than a person. She closed her laptop and went to take Toby for his evening walk, leaving her phone behind on the kitchen counter. Outside, the North Carolina evening wrapped around her like an embrace, the air scented with magnolias and possibility. For the first time in years, she walked without the weight of obligation pressing down on her shoulders. A month later, I am back to my routine. Today, Jackson arrives at 7. The warm glow of sunset, casting long shadows across my condo. He doesn't ring the bell or text, just 2 gentle knocks that Toby recognizes immediately. My poodle's ears perk up as he trots to the door, tail swishing with anticipation. "Ready?" Jackson asks, his eyes scanning my face carefully. He doesn't press for details, doesn't ask how I'm feeling after the confrontation. The absence of interrogation settles around us like a comfortable blanket. "More than you know," I say, grabbing Toby's leash from the hook by the door. At Jackson's house, the kitchen smells of baked salmon and herbs, his grandmother's recipe, he told me once. I watch him move confidently between counter and stove, his hands steady as he arranges food on simple white plates. Benji and Toby curl up on the kitchen rug, their bodies forming a perfect yin and yang of fur and contentment. We eat mostly in silence. Not the strained quiet I grew up with, the heaviness of words unsaid, the constant vigilance for wrong moves, but something entirely different. Peace. The gentle clink of silverware against plates. The occasional appreciative hum. The soft patting of paws as the dogs shift positions. After dinner, standing at the sink as I rinse our plates, I find myself describing the scene with my family. My voice sounds distant, clinical, like I'm recounting a movie I watched rather than my own life. Jackson takes the plate, wiping it carefully before placing it in the cabinet. "You did what was right for you," he says simply. 2 years ago, I would have launched into explanations justifying my decision, offering evidence of past slights, building a case for my own defense. Tonight, I just nod. The freedom of not having to perform my reasoning feels weightless, buoyant. Later, as we sit on his back porch watching the dogs explore the yard, a realization settles over me like the evening air, cool and clarifying. My worth was never about my usefulness. The constant service, the desperate attempts to be indispensable, all of it based on the flawed belief that being needed was the same as being loved. I think about my morning walks with Toby, how they've transformed from hurried necessities into peaceful rituals. My promotion last month to regional director, accepted without a whisper of guilt. The dinner club I joined, where we talk about books and politics and silly TV shows, where no one keeps a tally of who hosted last. "You know what's strange?" I say, my voice soft in the gathering darkness. For years I thought family meant blood relations, people you're stuck with. Now I realize it's about choice. The holiday photo card on my refrigerator flashes in my mind, me with Jackson and our friends at the lake last summer. All genuine smiles and unforced joy. No stiff poses or color-coordinated outfits like the Clark family portraits of my childhood. Just real people who choose each other's company. Months later, my phone rings while I'm watching the sunset from my balcony. My mother's name appears on the screen, the first call since the confrontation. Willa, she begins, her voice tentative. I owe you an apology. We all do. I feel my breath catch, then release. No racing heart, no desperate hope, just calm acknowledgement. I appreciate that, I say evenly. I need time. Of course, she says quickly. Whatever you need. When you're ready, if you're ever ready, we'd like to try again. On your terms. I don't rush to answer. There's no urgency anymore, no compulsion to fix or smooth over. I tell her, I'll think about it, and we hang up. The next evening, Jackson and I sit on his patio watching our dogs chase each other through the yard. The setting sun paints everything in soft gold light. A quiet smile forms on my lips as I observe the peaceful scene we've created together. What? Jackson asks, noticing my expression. For the first time in my life, I say. I'm not holding my breath. The words hang in the evening air, simple and true. Tonight was calm, and for Willa that was enough. If you were Willa, if your family ignored you for years but came back only for money, what would you do? A. Help them out of family loyalty. B. Refuse, but stay in touch. C. Cut them off completely, to protect your peace. Comment your choice below, because sometimes, the hardest thing isn't forgiving them. It's finally stopping yourself from waiting for them to change.